I wish I could understand why some dentists don't like mercury fillings but all the health authorities do.
Well, let's see. What basis do they give for their opinions?
That's the confusing thing. They both claim that science supports their view.
So all the prestigious dental and medical authorities say mercury fillings are okay to use, and that science says so?
Yes. But they call them silver fillings.
And at the same time a few maverick dentists and other health practitioners and scientists claim that science says mercury fillings are unsafe.
You got it.
What the hell?
Exactly.
Do you believe that one group or the other is deliberately lying?
No, they both sound really sincere.
What the hell?
I guess the best thing to do is to go with the majority of experts and assume that it's okay to put mercury in your mouth.
But that doesn't seem right, does it?
No, but majority rules, as they say.
The only stuff about science I remember was that back in grade 5 or so, we had to write down purpose, method, observations, and conclusions.
I remember. I did that, too.
But here's something I don't remember. I don't remember writing down majority opinion rules. Science is supposed to reach decisions based only on the observations made, right?
That was the whole point of the lesson back in grade 5.
It must mean that a few scientists are making observations that almost all the others are not.
Could they be lousy scientists?
I suppose that might be it. So I'll just be content to have mercury in my mouth. What the hell? Could the majority of scientists be wrong?
The majority of scientists once told us that smoking was okay, and they told us that it was okay to have lead in our paint and gasoline. They said DDT was good for us.
The majority? You mean that back then there were actually a few scientists saying that inhaling cigarette smoke and ingesting lead and DDT was not okay?
Yes, but their voices were silenced. And their evidence was ignored by the majority. The dangers of DDT, lead and smoking are fairly recent admissions, not recent discoveries.
So the minority of scientists eventually were acknowledged to be correct?
It took half a century.
So majority rule in science is a lousy way to listen to scientists. The experts can obviously be wrong.
I guess that's why they didn't teach us that majority opinion rules in grade 5 science class.
So how can we tell if the majority of experts are wrong about the safety of mercury in the mouth? Would it do any good to ask them?
They typically claim that they're right because they are in the majority.
To hell with that. That probably just means that sometimes they're right. But I'm not willing to bet my well-being and health on that.
Me neither.
What if we were to ask the minority scientists why they think they're right?
Interesting. That almost never happens. The members of the press are always consulting and reporting the findings of the anointed experts, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. How do we go about asking the minority scientists the reasons behind their contrary opinions?
Well, since the mainstream media doesn't go there, I guess that's what the internet is for.
Remembering our grade 5 science class has got us this far. I suppose that if the minority scientists actually talk about evidence, they might be worth listening to.
Now you have something.
So we look for scientists qualified to gather such evidence. We look for evidence that mercury in the mouth is not safe. We ignore expert opinion.
Wow, you're on a roll, but I don't understand something. Why not also look for evidence that mercury is safe? And how much evidence one way or the other is enough?
Suppose I had this theory about swans. All swans are white.
Huh? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
I'm on a roll, remember? Work with me here. Suppose I had millions of examples of white swans to prove my theory is correct.
Okay. You're losing me.
But you understand my theory and my evidence?
Sure.
So here's my question. How many black swans must we discover to screw up my theory?
Well, just one.
Right. One crummy little honest-to-God black swan overwhelms the millions of examples of white ones, right?
Obviously. As long as you didn't put black paint on a white swan. Oh, you covered that. You said honest-to-God black swan.
Right. The evidence must be verifiable. Now, even if legions of bird specialists and university department heads with PhDs still claim that all swans are white. We know from the existence of one black swan that the accepted theory is wrong, don't we?
We do.
Would there be any point in amassing even more evidence about the existence of white swans?
Nope.
About the safety of mercury fillings?
Nope.
So we must seek evidence about the risk and danger of mercury in the mouth. We don't need to be distracted by all the claims of safety. That becomes pointless as soon as we find even one black swan type of fact that shows mercury in the mouth is unsafe.
You got it. Now we know what to look for. Basically, we don't need to agonize about whether a theory is correct. We only need to know if it's wrong. And here I thought that grade 5 science was a waste of time. Who knew?